Hi there, Dr. Vicky here with the Shift Happens channel. Today, the only technique you need to do to manifest anything, your SP, money, perfect health, whatever it is. And we're going to get into that and more. But before we do, go ahead and like, share, and comment if you enjoy learning how to manifest with ease and joy and fun. Listen, I've been on this journey for over 10 years and I've been in ups and downs and I've tried everything. And as every coach says, I'm sure you've been surfing the net in the YouTube channels with all the different coaches, which is fine. I did the same. However, I always go back to the source of Neville Goddard, as well as other greats such as Joseph Murphy, all kinds of different greats, right? Even Dr. Wayne Dyer. I mean, he sums up everything so eloquently, so easy to process. But listen, the one technique that in Neville Goddard, this is a direct quote from Neville Goddard, as far as like it came from one of his lectures. And I'm going to read this to you. A single sensation dominates the mind. If you pray successfully, he's talking about prayer, right? Just a single sensation that dominates the mind. That's how you pray. So let's go on. What would I feel like now were I what I want to be? When I know what the feeling would be like, I then close my eyes and lose myself in that single sensation, and my dimensionally greater self then builds a bridge of incident to lead me from this present moment to the fulfillment of my mood. That is all you need to do. That's what Neville Goddard said. That is all you need to do. But people have a habit of slighting the importance of simple things. And I'm going to reread one piece. When I know what the feeling would be like, I then close my eyes and lose myself. So there's just a little nuance in there, right? So try this. Try just sitting and finding a quiet space and just thinking about it. Like, okay, what would I feel like? Truly, what would I feel like if I had the $10,000 in the bank? If I had my specific person sitting right next to me, what would that feel like? And oftentimes it's not even like a big sensation. Just let that feeling, oftentimes it's a feeling of relief or a naturalness. And if you feel resistance, find another seat, right? Just what would it feel like? And then close your eyes and then allow your higher self to build that bridge and take you in places that you may not have even thought about. So just allow God to take care of the rest, but just get into that feeling. Now, he goes on with his lecture and he cites the parable about Jesus finding a new colt that's never been ridden, right? And the colt represents that feeling that we talk about, that wish fulfilled, that feeling. What does that feel like if you had your desire? And so he asked one of his dudes to go get him that colt. And so then he rides it into town. And people are like, wow, but the colt is representing the mood, the thought, the wish fulfilled, right? And the minute all of a sudden the colt is like, whoa, I've never had this before. So all of a sudden it bucks it off. And that's, if I guess if Jesus gets bucked off the colt, that means he got out of that thought process and out of that mood, which is fine. You get back on the horse and ride it, right? And so the Bible is full of all kinds of different things. And Neville Goddard has such an interesting take on all the different parables in the Bible. But that was one of them. I find that interesting because it is, you ride that feeling. And it's not, even later on in some of his lectures, Neville Goddard even said, hey, listen, it's not the quantity, it's not the length or the time you spend in that mood. All you need is a second, right? But it's more of the habit of going back to it, getting back on that colt and riding it again. When you think about your specific person, you go back to thinking of what it would be like. Be aware of your thought process. Be aware of your feeling. So if you're going and the thought of SP is in your mind and you're like, they haven't contacted me. We're in no contact. Oh my gosh, I think they're with, all of a sudden you start going into that negative realm. Well, just be aware of that and go right back to, okay, but what would it feel like? Remember that feeling of just being relaxed and natural and easy and relief and maybe a little excitement. But ultimately, we want to have more of a natural, yeah, of course, of course. It's as easy as going into the grocery store and buying, spinach. It's as easy as going to the gas station and getting a candy bar. Go get a Snickers. Yeah, that's pretty easy. I can go get that. I don't even know how much they cost anymore. That's probably $2, maybe it's not that easy. No, I'm teasing. But the whole idea is you want to get in the habit of getting into that mood. And even if it doesn't feel right, well, just get off the subject. Abraham Hicks always goes into that. Like if the thought of having that money and it feels too out of reach, get off the subject and keep, go about life. And that is what you need to do anyway. You don't need to sit there and go, okay, oh my gosh, I feel like my specific person is right there, or I feel like, man, I'm wealthy, so I'm just going to go spend a bunch of money. Well, no, that's not, that would add more stress. It's just about the feeling and then the faith of knowing that it is on its way. It is done. It is, the bridge of incidents is stacking up and creating that pathway for you. And that's all you have to do is just be aware of your thoughts, get into that mood, close your eyes, and then create a scene. And, it doesn't have to be the same scene. It could be a different scene, just something that comes natural. If you had your person, what would you do on a natural, normal basis? Maybe cooking food, maybe going to the grocery store, maybe, sitting, watching TV, whatever it is. It's, you don't usually just go, oh, we're out on a romantic dinner and, and that happens, but just make it natural and easy. And just like with the money, and so I don't sit there and go, oh gosh, I get in the mood of that money, but I don't sit there and spend a bunch because I'm like, well, now I am wealthy because I said so and I thought it. That isn't taking inspired action. That's more of like, right? Because I know I always play the real through. If I spend that, I'm going to be more stressed because all of a sudden I am going to be focused on the lack. But the idea, and same with the SP, I'm not going to sit there and keep calling that person over and over until they listen. I know we're supposed to be together, so why don't you call me? Let's just stop wasting time. Stop it. No, that's your logical mind trying to force something. If you're going for a job opportunity and you found something that you're like, wow, that job was me. That happened to me. I was ready to make a change in my career, not out of the field, but just something different. I needed a new challenge. And out of the blue, I saw this job opening and description. And I read it. I go, and I got chills. I go, that's me. I applied for it. I went in for an interview. I hadn't heard from them for a couple of months. And I thought, well, I didn't get it. And that's okay. I'll make this other opportunity work just as well. And so I'm fine. I got out of I was teaching in the classroom and I wanted a different classroom or a different setting. I wasn't sure what I wanted, but when I saw that job description of mentoring teachers, I was like, oh, that is me. That's what I want to do. Didn't hear from them. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go teach a different subject. I'm fine. I didn't need it. I thought, boy, that felt good. That seems like me. And so I didn't really give up. I just didn't think about it, and then all of a sudden, boom, I get a call and they're like, hey, I mean, literally the 11th hour. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll take it. And I got the job, right? But I was okay either way. But I also had that feeling. I was like, I just know I'm going to get this. And just like the knowing of anything, yeah, maybe money doesn't seem natural and normal to you. And that's why we have to use our imagination a little bit more and kind of conjure that feeling, so to speak. Like, what if I had that money? What would you do? What would it feel like? What would it feel like? I'd feel relaxed. That's really I'd feel safe. I'd feel secure. I'd feel just like kind of free, right? It's no different than anything else. Perfect health, the relationship, whether it's a relationship with your romantic person or person at work or a family member, it's that feeling of relief. And most everything that you desire, that is what it always goes back to. It feels free, it feels relief, it feels relaxing, it feels fun, I feel happy. And that's what it is. And you go about living life. Too often we get so worked up and we're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this and I got to always think about it. No, be aware of your thoughts. If you're going down the negative thought, get off the subject or go back to the wish fulfilled, that feeling of what would it feel like if I had it. But if that's too much in a moment, get off the subject, go for a walk, do something. That is what I did. That's what helped me. And yeah, it's as easy as that. All right. And I know it can be difficult. So if you need help with any type of coaching and that sort of thing, I am here for you. If not, go ahead and like, share, and comment. That's how we build our community. I so appreciate you. Until the next video, take care. Bye bye.